Okay, I'm just going to dive right in. Sometimes, as I'm considering the energy patterns that are transpiring in this astrological dance, I almost feel like I'm walking on a tightrope or a high wire where the vision from this height is quite phenomenal. The capacity of being able to relay effectively enough what it is that I can see to those who are not up here on this higher wire with me, but are in this audience down below. And like in any circus performance, they can't hear that person on the tight wire up there. No, they can hear the music building in the audience, the energy, the tension of, oh my God, I hope they make it. Or equally, wouldn't it be great if they fell? We people, we are a strange bunch. And the image that I've chosen for today came to me in a dream, as many images do. I painted it. And it was from after hearing a story Michael Meade presented on how the earliest version of healing was brought to us through the muses, through song. And this is the image that came to me to paint after going through that story on more than one occasion. I really wanted to cue in specifically to what that energy quotient was that the muses were bringing for our consideration. I'll just give you a real quick brief synopsis. Way back in the beginning, the Creator came in, made planet Earth and decided to put people on it and put people into this place. And in this place, they, after a while, determined that they weren't comfortable there. And, they weren't having big dreams and stuff. And, I live for big dreams, so that caught my attention. And since this was the earliest part of creation, the Creator was close. And so they went to the Creator and said, we're not comfortable here, And the Creator said, well, if this place doesn't work for you, you can always go and move someplace else. And they did. And they moved from place to place until they got to some place where they did feel at home. The dreams were there. And this process of dreaming, very, very important to the experience. Well, the muses, they're all paying attention to these humans down here, wondering what's going to happen. Well, after a while of being in this place, as is the human way, some people started to show signs of illness. And the tribe, that close-knit tribe there, they didn't know what to do. This was something, a new experience to them. So they called out to the Creator, and the Creator said, pay attention. Listen to the muses. I'm transliterating this story, of course, in my own version. And so they would essentially go to... Actually, I'm going to change the story a little bit. 4 of the members of the tribe were chosen. 2 men and 2 women. How about that? Not just 4 men, as is wont in so much of modern culture, but balance. Were chosen to essentially go out and, in the 4 different directions to see what they could find, because the muses were giving some kind of an inclination that, and the crater did too, that everything that happens on this planet has an aspect of both creating certain forms of demise where you are going to be challenged and get ill, but at the same time there are also aspects of what is available in this environment that can heal you. And so anyway, the 4 people determined, they went out. They were given, let's say 5 days, a week, to go out in their 4 directions to discover what is it out there that might be available to be able to rejuvenate the life factor in these people that were starting to show signs of, demise and illness. So they went forth in their different directions. And, there were valleys and plateaus and canyons and rivers and deserts and all these different kinds of things that they encountered. And as they would each day wander in whatever particular direction they were wandering in, the muses, they were present. And, these 4 characters would listen to what it was that was going on around them and discovered that certain of the plants in the areas where they were at would speak to them. Oh, yeah. You say, well, this was a creation time, the earliest times when people actually knew and were able to communicate with the environment, which is one of those unfortunate things. We have lost our capability of recognizing that we can do. But as these 4 were out there, they would hear, the wind whistling through the trees, causing the branches and the leaves to form sounds, melodies of music and stuff that would, get their attention. Or the blowing sand across the desert, creating whispering essences of sound. Paying attention to, the wind howling through the canyons, speaking of things that needed to be paid attention to, or the burbling of the brooks as they worked their way down, speaking in melodic tones. And after the week was up, the 4 came back to the tribe. And they said to the tribe, we need to gather in a circle and bring those who are showing the signs of this demise, illness, a whole new term, that they're just wasting away, into the center of this circle. And the 4 of us are going to provide you with song. And you're all invited to join in and sing. And as this transpired, those within the circle suddenly began to reconfigure, if you would, a version of the life essence that reinvigorated them. And the people noticed this and sang even more overtly, and discovered that not only were the people inside the circle that were in the process of going through this healing, feeling this experience, but the whole community, vibrantly alive, could feel this magical presence enfolding the entire group. And the muses, yes, the muses are still present, and the muses were overjoyed and provided more of the availability of that energy to the community. After going through that experience that Michael Meade was expressing, or my version of it, the dream that came to me told me I need to paint this picture behind me. So I painted. I'll get out of the way so you can actually see it a little bit better. You can see the tribe is there, the community, those that need healing are in the circle or being brought into the circle, and they're all ready. The fire is lit. It's night, and the dance of life continues. Well, this week's astrology has got a bunch of factors in play that I'm just, tomorrow, this is Saturday I'm doing this, but tomorrow's the new moon. Well, the new moon, if you might notice, is going to be at 28 degrees of Capricorn. Mercury's 27, Mars is 26, Venus 1 degree has just gone over into Aquarius. The moon, you see it's at 2 degrees of Aquarius, is only basically 3 degrees away from the sun. So this new moon that takes place on Sunday passes over the sun, over the Mars and the Mercury and the Sun and Venus, all in the same day. So, and see this aspect pattern here. A trine down here to Uranus, saying if you feel too comfortable in what is transpiring, as this new moon energy is asking you to set your intention, I, as a Uranian energy down here in retrograde in Taurus, in a trine to this, I want to inspire you to change. Key words for Uranus: change. And not to take your time about doing this change, but understand that there could be a disruptive, fast, shaking kind of energy, that is Uranus, to this potential. And, not wanting to be left out of the equation, our Saturn and Neptune down here at the end of Pisces are in sextiles to this dance that's going on. And Neptune is kind of like, that's dream state. That is Neptune. The creative imagination with no limits. A tapping in to a kind of an energy substance that is kind of like quicksilver. Floats. You can't cup it in your hands easily because it flows between every crack that's available in there. It's just, difficult to control. And so there's that kind of energy in this mix. The trines and sextiles, by the way, they're all harmonic aspects in this. They bring harmony rather than discordant energies into an equation. And so that's in the mix for this new moon. This is what starts or ends this last week. I haven't even got into this week yet. Now, when we get into this week, very first thing, Monday, here's our Venus sitting with Pluto at that fourth degree, 3 degrees of Aquarius. Now, I'm going to basically, I have to put out this Sabian symbol early because during this week, well, first of all, you can see that the sun has just gone into Aquarius on this day. Mercury's going to go into Aquarius rather quickly. And all these 3 planets, besides the moon already went over it, on the same day that there was the new moon, Venus, the Sun, and Mercury are all going to basically, for however long, not real long periods of time, but they're all going to dance with Pluto, Lord of the underworld, a process of, deep, penetrating change that is not something easily ignored except at your own peril. The Sabian symbol for that particular degree where Pluto happens to be reads, a Hindu yogi demonstrate his healing powers. Now you can understand why I chose that vision, that image for the background of what it is that we're considering today. The keynote, the disciplined use of spiritual energies in restoring the natural harmony disturbed by man's inharmonic attempts to transcend nature through mind. Can you sense that potential inharmonic imbalance that we human beings have and do continuously engage with when it comes to Mother Nature? Are we respecting it? Are we living in a harmonious fashion with it? Further reading on this particular Sabian symbol. Civilization implies a process of transcending compulsive, rigid, biological drives while making use in a refined and mentalized way of what it cannot control. The goal of a true civilization, Western civilization being to a large extent, a caricature of it, is the development of a humanity composed of self-motivated and responsible individuals freely associating according to harmonic patterns in order to produce a vast spiritual chord of consciousness, fully actualizing the potentialities inherent in the archetype man, all in caps. Dane Rudger, who basically put together the book An Astrological Mandala back along the way, he liked to use long sentences. You just had one. The process of individualization and civilization is full of dangers, and for a very long time it is obsessed by karmic shadows, the results of individual and collective deviations and perversions. Such results most often lead to disease. It is the spiritual duty of individuals who have been able to tap the vast reservoir of spiritual forces pervading our planet to use these energies for healing the less fortunate comrades. I hope you can feel that. This four-stage symbol refers to a technique which not only can be used for the healing of physical illness, but for the making whole of whatever has lost its natural root integration and has not yet reached the holistic state of perfect harmony and identification with the divine whole. Self-discipline, purity of motive, compassion, faith in the divine order are required, and the focusing of spiritual energy. this is a divination process. And we're talking about Pluto, probably one of the most intense, deep and penetrating energy in our particular celestial surround of planetary beings that has as its focus the digging up that which has been buried and bringing it up to the surface for exposure to us as to what likely has been hidden from us and needs to be integrated if we are to go forward in a more holistic fashion. This week, as the sign of Aquarius comes into focus, this is collective energy. That is essential Aquarius. What is the community trying to bring to point? And right off the bat, we have Venus on Monday. Right there, Venus. How do we interact with one another, being presented with the exposure of likely factors of how we engage with one another that may not be as effectively clear as they could be. The sun, that vitality of energy on Monday shifts from Capricorn into Aquarius. The collective is where the vitality has the potential to expand if we're willing to allow it. As we go through the week, Tuesday comes along. Mercury, how we think and how we communicate with one another, joins into this Aquarian dance and is attempting to, facilitate a more effective, inclusive, communal-based level of how we, want to investigate the meanings of what it is that we share with one another. Mercury it rules, believe it or not, it rules merchandise. It rules the merchant. It rules business functions. It's the meeting place or the crossroads where business takes place. And in order for business to take place, you need some level of communication so that the participants actually can get to a point where they understand each other enough to be able to share their individual perspectives. Anyway, as the week goes on, Mercury catches up with the Sun. There's our Cassimi, giving Mercury a very strong tailwind. This is an energy that, is not something to overlook. Here on Wednesday, a mercurial day, and Mercury is Cassimi, the Sun, the potential for what words are going to be given weight is enhanced substantially on this mercurial day. Pay attention to what it is that's going on in the larger context of your world. Oh, also, on that same day, because Mercury's moving so fast, as it is often wont to do, it touches Pluto. You can kind of see, I went to Thursday, and it's already zipped past Pluto. So while it was, getting to the end of its Cassini thing with the sun and feeling its oats, so to speak, it touched Pluto. It says, oh, ho, ho, look what we discovered. That's just been exposed. It's been buried from us. Can you feel, the flapping tongue saying, I've just discovered that somebody was trying to hide something from us, and here it is. Do you hear it? There's something quite dynamic in that energy that this week is bringing for us to consider in our communal way of our society collective. That, does it need to change? Essay question. Each of you knows, actually each of us, we came with quite particular medicine for what it is that we can provide into the healing energy of our planetary consciousness. It's just been sublimated. Sublimated. Does that not mean buried? By the context of a controlling power that has tried to suppress what it is that we in our hearts and souls came to engage this living experience on the planet and allow to grow even more. Wednesday, Thursday. Also, on this Thursday, you might notice the sun is now holding hands with Pluto. That vitality of solar essence, is shining a light on what it is that Pluto is bringing to the surface. Don't overlook it. There's a strong and dynamic sense of awakening potential at the collective level right now that you don't want to miss. It's going to go by, but are you going to wake up with what it is that was established at this last lunar initiation cycle to what it is that Aquarius wants us to engage each other into the dynamic of a magical living experience with one another? You'll notice I'm avoiding the political situations going on right now, which are anything but, an attempt to bring us together. Anything but that. That's enough said on that. As we go through this week, as if this energy isn't enough, Friday comes, a Venus day. Well, Venus is moving on, and I look here and I go, oh, look, I have my sun at 8 degrees and 20 minutes, I think, of Aquarius. Venus is right on my sun. I'm feeling it. I feel the potential of that Aquarian energy wanting to be in expression with as many as I can. Also on this day, Mars has just come into Aquarius as well. So we have Mars and Pluto and the Sun and Mercury and Venus all in this communal cauldron of the collective community. That's a lot of energy. A lot of energy. Don't forget that. Now, it would be it's a challenge. That Mars coming into Aquarius is a challenge in that Mars and Pluto, the two rulers of Scorpio, are going to as well come together. Not until Monday of next week, but they're close enough. They're at work. The Martian warrior, you can almost picture a certain kind of energy from Mars's perspective with the Plutonian, you have the possibility of dying. This is another Plutonian consideration, that Mars, the militaristic idea, it might be trying to, at a collective level, inspire people into its ranks of, militaristic ideas to go to war, kill. This is energy that's afoot right now. There are factors in multiple levels of government around the planet that have that very idea in mind. We need control over something that we don't have control over. And at the same time, the overarching surround is the natural world that is trying to, tune in an aspect of our soul awareness, saying, you're out of balance. That is not the purpose of why it is that we came together here at this time on planet Earth to engage with the natural cycle of things. You can kind of see on Sunday, when we wrap up the week, Mars is only a degree away from that Pluto. So when we begin next week, the second week of Aquarius, Mars and Pluto initiate that week. Keep your seatbelts fastened. There's some likely very, very uncomfortable energies that are in the process of, shaking and rattling our cage, because this whole time we have that potentially harmonic aspect of Uranus, the Neptune, Saturn, and our stuff that's just started to go into Aquarius. It's starting to wane a little bit. But those energies, they're all afoot. Feel the potential of what it is that you need to do with your fellow human beings right now to, in some fashion, facilitate some level of harmonic balance in what it is that we share with one another in the hopes, 11th house word, of being able to find common ground in what it is that we really came to do with the medicine our souls have and came with, and with each other. Mind you, I could probably say more, but that's all I'm going to say for this week. Keep your seatbelts fastened, and don't be afraid when you encounter each other to discover that certain things have surfaced that aren't necessarily going to be easy to handle or readily understood, because there are things that are going to wake up beginning this week in the collective that absolutely require that we deal with. I'm not promising you that it will be comfortable. Oh, no, not. But I am telling you, there is a vitality in it that is the reason why we are all here, why we need more community. Ciao.